Let's rock and roll. You ready?
Ready.
All right. This is Inside with Outsiders. I'm Jeremy Asgari, and today's guest is a good friend of mine, Cathy Del Monte. She is the multicultural marketing director, multicultural marketing manager at New Belgium Brewery.
Yes.
Thank you for being here.
Of course. Happy to be here.
We've tried to get you here for a while now, but I'm glad you're finally here. But I do have to say you've been an amazing partner to work with the last few years. We've had a lot of fun doing stuff, and you're always open to creative ideas, which is refreshing when working with a brand. The other refreshing part is that you reached out to us initially, which is great because when we're pitching, sometimes the difference between us pitching and somebody reaching out to us is people reaching out to us, they get it. They understand what the initiative, the motive is for Outsiders, what we're trying to do. So thank you for understanding.
Of course. My role is experiential marketing. So my whole thing is creating community, being IRL, so in real life events is all really important in what I do.
I agree. Especially these days with like social media being the way it is and online dating and everything. Everything's so impersonal now. I feel like there's a strong need for people connecting in real life.
Yeah, and we also connected 2019. So summer 2019, everything was normal. And then the pandemic happened. So it was kind of perfect timing because we were still able to host events with you guys where everyone was outside and we weren't, contributing to. Yeah,
that's true. We weren't super spreaders by any means. No. That's right. Like it's funny because I feel like life is so much different. Like there's that clear cut line pre-pandemic and post-pandemic, right?
Yeah.
So the fact that you were there right before that, but I feel like a lot of this stuff. One, we got to know each other a lot in more recent years, but I don't even remember us really working together prior. It was just like, here's some beers and let's see what we can do. But now it was like we had fleshed out programs and the Puerto Rico trip, which was awesome.
That was amazing. One of my favorite trips for sure.
Oh, definitely. I mean, you've joined us for Sardinia. Obviously, Puerto Rico was something you helped facilitate. And then Rio. Was there another one you joined us for?
I feel like there was, but I don't know if I'm just forgetting.
Cape Town.
Cape Town.
Yeah, that was the first one.
I knew I was forgetting one. Yes, Cape Town.
That's right. So what's beautiful is doing what I do with Outsiders. It's business meets social, right? So I don't mean social media. I mean like meeting people, meeting friends. So I think it's beautiful that we connected and like we've become friends through it.
Yeah.
So that's the beauty of Outsiders and experiential marketing as well.
For sure. All of your trips have been amazing. I always speak so highly of them, and people are always DMing me like, where are you now? This looks amazing. Especially Sardinia. I think that trip is magical. Like chilling in the villa, the food that we ate.
It's White Lotus. It's White Lotus without murders. That's how I describe it.
The opera show we had at dinner.
Oh, that was a great birthday. My birthday party the year before, because my birthday fell during the time of that trip, was like a wedding. You booked a live band. It had like a oyster buffet before it started. It was incredible. We good, Bams? All right, that's Chris. I just making sure we're in focus, Anyway, we're here to hear about your story, right? Like the events that took place in your life that brought you to where you are now. So I want you to proudly claim, where are you from? I know you're from a couple places, but where are you from? Where do you consider yourself from?
I grew up in the Bronx, so I definitely always say I'm from the Bronx. I'm a proud New Yorker, but I did move to Jersey in high school, so.
Be proud of that too.
Don't
say like you're not proud.
No, I am proud of that. I'm a proud Jersey girl. I don't like to pump gas, and I like to drive everywhere. So I'm a Jersey girl.
To pump gas. That's so true. People it's funny because we take a lot of people out that are not necessarily from New York, and a lot of our trips we go through. Usually, we go through Jersey. Even when we go upstate, we drive through Jersey, go upstate in New York. And sometimes we have to stop for gas, and some people see me waiting for the attendant, like, is everything okay? I'm like, yeah, you're not allowed to pump gas. And she's like, what? They had no idea.
Yeah.
And I think it's because it creates jobs or whatever the reason is.
I think it's now just the only state. The other state, I think it was Oregon that had it a couple years ago. They officially let you pump your own gas.
Well,
so
there
we're
you
standing
go.
Strong in Jersey.
Move to Jersey, get the luxury of not pumping your own gas, and you'll be good to go. So from the Bronx, move to Jersey. When did you move from the Bronx?
sophomore year of high school. So that was a big
Oh, wow.
transition. Yeah, I
Yeah.
cried like crazy for months.
sure.
But it was necessary. Like we were living in Jersey. There was no reason for me to
What part of Jersey
come
were you
into the
living
city. I grew up in Bergenfield, New Jersey. So that's where my parents still are.
That's funny. Is Bergenfield, is Ridgefield next to it?
Yeah,
No,
totally.
Teaneck.
Teaneck,
So
yeah.
Teaneck is.
So my dad-
Well, yeah, Ridgefield.
My dad, when I was a
actually.
kid, lived in Ridgefield, not too far, or Bergenfield, I can't remember. And I remember there was like that one main strip with the old school cinema there. And then he moved to Teaneck. So I remember the first time I went to pick up a product from you because I had to go drive to meet up with you. You had it in your garage. I passed by my dad's old place. I hadn't seen it since I was, I don't know, 8.
Yeah.
It was crazy. It was crazy nostalgia for me. But so you moved to Jersey, but before you get into that, what's your background? I know you're a proud Dominican, so let them know.
I'm Dominican.
Yeah.
My family's from DR. Spanish was my first language until I got to kindergarten, honestly.
But you were born here, right?
Born here,
But
yeah.
spoken to in Spanish.
Yeah, I was born in Manhattan, St. Luke's Hospital, St. Luke's Babies.
Yeah.
And then we lived in the Bronx, yeah.
So Spanish is your first language.
Spanish is my first language. I don't speak it as well anymore, but
I mean, how would you be expected to? You know,
yeah. My parents are also very Americanized. They've both been here since they were babies, essentially.
Yeah.
My mom 12, but my dad since he was very, very young.
Yeah.
So they grew up like listening to disco in the 70s.
Yeah.
Like I feel like that's kind of more what I grew up with.
Right. But
Not
that's
so
great
much
that they spoke
Spanish.
to you in Spanish and kept
Yeah.
that going. I think it's crucial for kids for parents to speak their mother tongues to their child. They'll learn English no matter what, like you
Yeah,
said.
exactly.
So you moved to Jersey for high school and you cried your eyes out for months. What was school like for you? Like, what was it like in the Bronx growing up?
Yeah.
And then when you moved to Jersey, obviously it's a cultural clash or shock in some ways. You know?
It
'Cause you were moved to
definitely
suburbs
was.
in Jersey. It wasn't like you moved from the Bronx to Jersey City.
No, it
Yeah.
was the suburbs,
Yeah.
100%. And I feel like that was an adjustment. I feel like moving to Jersey was kind of like going to high school, like what you saw in the TVs and movies.
Yeah. Well, suburban specifically.
Yeah.
Because like I remember, I grew up living in Jersey. Most of my schooling was in Manhattan, but when I did go to school in Jersey, it was in like Hoboken or Jersey City. So I didn't get like that suburban ride your BMX bike home experience that you would see in John Hughes movies, for example.
Yeah, no. In Bergenfield, I definitely would say it was the suburbs. Some people were taking the yellow bus to school. Like, I feel like in the Bronx, everyone was just taking the train to school. So yeah, I was there basically sophomore year through high school. Now I'm very grateful to my parents because it was a very important decision I feel like they made for my life and my brother, of course, who he's 7 years younger. So I feel like he definitely needed that move a lot more.
Why did you need it more? Why do you think it's beneficial for you?
Well, my parents never wanted me to be in school in the Bronx, like getting my education. Even living there, I was always going to school in the Upper West Side and then 23rd Street for my freshman year of high school. So I just think for them it was really important for me to...
23rd Street, Manhattan?
Yeah.
Where'd you go to school?
Manhattan Village Academy.
Where's that?
23rd between 5th and 6th.
Okay.
So I was only there for a year.
My school was in Manhattan was on 23rd.
Really? And what?
Eunice.
Okay.
United Nations School, but it was 23rd in like the FDR.
Yeah.
I didn't
So
go high
this was
school
a
there.
public school.
Yeah.
But they made us wear uniform.
Okay. Was it like one of those testing public schools?
No, so when I became a freshman, they changed the way that New York City students got into school. So you basically had to make a list of your 1 through 10 high schools that you wanted to get into, and that was maybe like number 4 for me.
What was number 1 for you?
Beacon.
Beacon? What was 2?
Yeah. I don't remember.
I wanted to go to
Beacon.
Stuyvesant. That's where I
Yeah.
wanted to go.
All those specialized schools,
Yeah.
they're good.
Bronx Science, all those
Yeah.
fancy ones. All right. So because where you moved in Jersey isn't necessarily a very white neighborhood. It's pretty big. Well, at least Teaneck is very mixed. I know
So
that.
I am grateful that we didn't move to just a fully white neighborhood. I had friends that were Filipino, Colombian, of course, Dominican, Puerto Rican friends. There were white girls, also,
pretty
and
diverse,
guys, of course.
right?
Yeah, it's a very diverse town.
Yeah.
So I'm grateful for that experience because I didn't necessarily feel like an outcast. And
Right.
being a new girl isn't always easy. So
How was that for you? Were you what,
I mean-
were you like the popular girl once you got your like, lay of the land and you got used to it? Like, who were you in high school?
I wasn't really
I have
into
my vision.
I wasn't into doing sports and stuff. I wasn't really extracurricular activities, but I did become a party girl in high school. So
I would assume so.
I was out.
I mean, because like personality traits for different people's careers, right? Let's be real. Marketing, you have to be marketing, and especially within the alcohol industry, you have to be comfortable in a party environment and be like somewhat of a life of the party or party starter, party organizer somehow, right?
Party organizer, not the life of the party. I like to just usually chill, and I am talkative, I feel like. But yeah, I used to throw parties in high school.
I see you in your element, and the most time I spent with you has been on our trips. When I see your element is when we're like having drinks somewhere out and like just being social, and you just kick it back, and like that's when you're in your element.
Yeah.
Or on the beach in Sardinia, having a cocktail, Aperol, whatever it was.
Yeah, I like bringing people together, so I really like that aspect of my job and just my personality and who I am. My high school friends and my college friends are all friends now. Like I just like bringing people together.
I enjoy that too. So you were kind of like this party girl, right? Were you still doing well in school?
I'm not really a straight A student kind of girl, but B's and C's. I got into Binghamton University, which is the #1 SUNY.
Yeah. Is that where you went?
Yeah, so that's where I went for undergrad. I went to Binghamton, upstate. I was an English major.
Why?
Just because I felt like Binghamton, first off, it's a very hard school. So to get into the business school to do marketing, it was just a little bit too much. I feel like English allowed me to do journalism, media classes.
Oh, journalism fell under English?
I got to do electives, basically. And
I did media studies, and my focus, you can either go do like production, like audiovisual, or analytical, which was PR and journalism. So I chose that.
Yeah.
After I decided not to be a biology major anymore.
Biology. Yeah. That's hard. Yeah. I just felt like English was something that would let me do a little bit of everything.
Like liberal arts in a sense.
Yeah, liberal arts. Everyone always used to ask me when I was in school, oh, do you want to be a teacher? And I would be like, no, I don't want to be a teacher. I never really knew what I wanted to do.
That was my next question, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I've always considered myself, like, I always call myself a pop culture girly. So I always was reading blogs and really into what brands were doing.
What blogs were you reading back then?
Perez Hilton.
I knew you were going to say that. Of course. I remember what happened to Perez Hilton. He was huge back then.
Yeah, I see him on Twitter sometimes. Yeah. Now I'm on TikTok, so I don't really see him.
I wonder if he has a big social presence. That's crazy.
Yeah,
he was like...
He was mean back then, but
he probably got canceled.
He had the tea. Yeah, nowadays, stuff like that. I mean, obviously, we still have, the Shade Room and all those kind of blogs, but
it's not one person running it, and then that person being blamed.
Now these people have whole teams and stuff, which I guess Perez did too back in the day. But so I just felt like English was like a good kind of like balance for you'll figure it out eventually, which I did.
So when you graduated school, did you go to graduate school?
I did. So I went to Syracuse for my master's.
I didn't know this about you.
That's so I graduated.
I get to find out random facts about people I've known for a while.
Yeah, I graduated 2018 with my master's in communications and media studies. So I feel like that's when I was finally like, okay, it's marketing that I want to do. And I felt like I finally had a term and a word to it. I guess I had known for a while before then. 2013 was when I remember I bought this book called like How to Be Experiential Marketer, because that's when I figured out, okay, experiential is what I want to do specifically, because I want to go to cool events, I want to be able to travel, I want to be able to build community with people and different social groups, community clubs as well, so outdoor clubs. So once I figured out it was experiential that I wanted to do, I feel like I finally figured out like the path exactly.
That's interesting. It was funny because I remember first learning of the term experiential, and by then I'd already been doing nightclub promoting and some concert stuff, and I was like, how do I describe what I do? Because I'm just not just promote. I was working, starting to dabble with brands and doing that stuff. When I heard experiential marketing, like, thank God there's a term like this.
Yeah.
Like justifying and legitimizing like what I'm doing.
Yeah, creating experiences for people as a brand is so important, because especially now where millennials and Gen Z, we're not necessarily brand loyal to anyone, but if a brand can talk about their sustainability efforts or their DEI efforts, I think that makes it.
That's another conversation I want to have with you. The DEI efforts, like in 2020, was when they were at full force.
Yeah.
And like, okay, maybe the tables turn now. Now maybe there's gonna be a focus on this. And now, and I want to I feel like putting some social media posts up and really discussing it. But these companies are getting rid of their DEI departments.
Yeah, it's really sad. All the money being taken away, all the opportunities.
It's just, it's also like a slap in the face. Like, you're doing it. You're just showing that you're purely doing it for PR purposes, that you don't really give a shit at all about it. And it's sad, like if you really want to make a difference and you create a branch of your company that's focused on DEI, right? Diversity, equity, inclusion, right? That's what it stands for.
Yeah.
Why, when it's no longer on the forefront of your PR campaign, are you getting rid of it? It just shows their real values, and shame on you. Shame on you, seriously, for that. I think it should be in every aspect of your company mission, and it should be in every company should be aware of this. I mean, it's a systemic issue.
Yeah, I think it all starts with hiring. Being the only in a lot of spaces and a lot of meetings and a lot of rooms, it's hard to make an impact when you're the only one. And chances are, if
you're the only one, you're just there for the purposes of having, hey, we have somebody here that works that is a minority or something like that, or person of color, I should say.
Yeah, person of color. I like saying person of color.
Me too. Minorities is not.
Yeah. Hopefully, brands can keep it up and do keep it up. I know at New Belgium, which is where I am now, I made the multicultural marketing role at the company, so it didn't exist.
I didn't realize that was you. I remember when you took over, and I just changed my role. You created it?
Yeah. So I spoke up and said something, and I said we should have someone focusing on Black, brown consumers, like anyone that's different. We're based in Colorado, so the brewery is based in Colorado and Asheville, North Carolina. It's really easy to just be in a bubble and not really realize what else is happening around the country. But our number one territory is Southern California, which is crazy.
And your biggest consumer there is?
Latinos who love high ABV alcohol. All our IPAs, Voodoo Ranger, that's a 9%.
Chris knows about
beer.
That.
Oh, your brother was drinking something the other day. It was like 18.5.
Oh, no.
A beer? Or was it like...
No, it was a beer. It was a 12-ounce bottle of beer.
Was it Canadian?
Nah. It's a brewery that's out in Oregon called Dragon Milk or something.
Oh, yeah, I heard of that.
18%. Jeez.
I can only have one.
My twin brother is a big beer drinker and alcohol.
Yeah, no, 18% is wild. But all of our data is basically showing that people of color like high ABV. They like more fruitier things. So I'm glad that we're starting to lean into that. And then with my role, I'm able to go out and do community events. So like Culture Shifters, which just happened in Aspen.
I saw that. Looked great.
Yeah, that was really fun. So bringing BIPOC folks to the mountain, which is a very, very white sport. Mm-hmm. Not a lot of spaces. Yeah. It's so expensive. It's crazy how much a lift ticket is in the U.S.
Expensive. Like it's the whole process of the day, right? You're waking up at 6 a.m. to be at the mountain early and ski all day. It's in the equipment and the preparation for getting on the slopes.
Yeah.
It's a process. And for me, it's nostalgic because, believe it or not, when I tell people this, they're like surprised. But my dad's a big skier. In Iran, there's a lot of skiing. And Iran did some of the best mountains in the world, better than Aspen. People think Iran, they think uncultured people will think desert and maybe camels. I don't know. These races tell me all kinds of shit. So, but it's mountainous, right? So for me, I just remember being a kid, my brother and I being taken by my dad from the time we were 3 years old, as being put on the mountain. So I understand the process, and for me, it's nostalgic. But not having had that experience, how would you connect to it if you're not exposed to it when you're younger?
Exactly. So being able to do events like that, camping trips, which I'm excited for ours this summer, taking people just to things that they might not have necessarily grown up doing, but now, we can build community around it. I have a budget to spend and just bring people together.
And so the outdoors in general has been, and we talk about this all the time, where it's been a very granola brand. That's how I say it. And essentially very demographics, usually typically white. And I take it one step beyond that. It's usually people who are drawn to the outdoors because they don't feel comfortable in social environments, at least the folks that work in the industries. So, you're out there with one demographic who can be a little socially awkward and doesn't make for a comfortable environment. So the change in narrative and change the way it's perceived and the way it's experienced is really important for us. And also important for cool brands like the North Face, like Fat Tire, with these initiatives. I think it's super important.
Yeah.
Instead of bringing people to always being in a bar for a social environment because they think that that's their only option.
Yeah. And it lets people connect too with the brands and remember like, oh yeah, I had that beer when I went on that hike with those 10 strangers from the Outsiders. Yeah. So
speaking of hikes, well, how about that Cape Town hike?
Okay.
Let's tell the story.
That was not okay.
First off, I know we're gone on a tangent because you talked about your grad school, and I didn't know that about you. That's amazing. Syracuse is actually maybe the best school in the country for media studies and communication.
Yeah, one of the best, for sure.
I'm impressed by that.
Thank you.
You've always impressed me anyway. So I want to get back to that in a second. But let's talk about this Cape Town. So we did a trip to Cape Town, New Year's of 2023. So 2022 going to 2023, right? Amazing trip. But the first full day there, we go on a hike. I think it's a hike Table Mountain.
Table Mountain,
which is like a big deal. And they're showing us, it'll be fine. I'm like, you sure? We're looking up. This is a big mountain. So we're looking up. Okay, well, go on this hike. And it was like a never-ending hike. It was beautiful. But on top of that, Cathy, how were you feeling when you started the hike?
I was unwell.
What was wrong again?
We were drinking the night before.
I want to let you say this, yes?
It was our first night, so we had...
So we're hungover, essentially.
A little hungover, yes.
So hungover, and this hike was steep-ish, but it was just like a constant incline.
Yeah, and you had to like climb
I was scared
the
for
mountain
you.
at a certain point.
I was worried for you. I was
worried.
We were halfway up, and Cathy looked like she wasn't making another step up. And I mean, you're puking, you're like, you're sweating, like there's a cold sweat. Cathy's looking at me, and there's no color in her face. I'm like, oh shit.
It was so bad.
The guys
but
were amazing.
Everyone was so encouraging, honestly.
Course.
Remember Gladys stayed back with me.
Yeah, I do.
She was really helping me. Even the people coming down the mountain, honestly, it got so dire that
you were drinking
I had to drink
bottles.
Yeah. I drank water from a stranger's bottle. Like, don't judge me, but it was really, really bad.
I'm sure you've done worse.
But yeah, 4,000 feet of elevation.
Crazy.
To be honest, when we got to the top, I still couldn't even enjoy it because I was just so mad.
You were upset. I saw you like, okay, I'm gonna avoid Cathy for the next couple hours until she gets a beer in her.
Yeah, and then we did.
Yeah, that was a great trip. And it was
a great trip. Yeah.
I got to shout out our guides for that. I mean, again, we're getting off the tangent, but it's a conversation. So when we set up that trip, we set up with a tour group that a friend of mine's father-in-law, who was based out of Sweden, and part of the tour was visiting the townships. In the townships, I told them, I was like, listen, we're gonna have a problem if you don't do this right.
Oh yeah, because I was so nervous about going. I didn't want it to be like rude like.
Let's be honest. I didn't want to go there in a bus and look at them like it was a zoo. I didn't want that, and I told them many times. And because forget about how it would look, I don't want to be part of something like that. And they did such a good job.
They did.
Our guides for the whole trip were from the townships.
Yeah.
We got to see from their perspective. They took us to the townships and showed us their friends' businesses. We got to spend our money in the local township businesses. And first off, it was fun and beautiful, great. So they nailed it. I was really happy.
Yeah, that was a great trip. I loved every minute of that. The beach, New Year's Day.
That bar we went to, the lounge was dope.
The little cocktail lounge.
Yeah.
I suggest it to everyone now when they tell me they're going. I'm like, go here.
I still talk to those guys all the time. They also always reach out. So I would go back eventually and go hang out with them.
Yeah.
For sure. All right.
It was a great trip.
Let's really back a little bit. So what made you go to grad school? Not everyone goes to grad school. So
to be honest, the guy I was dating at the time really inspired me to go. He was getting his MBA from Binghamton, which is where we had graduated undergrad from. And it kind of just felt like I had to. I don't know. My parents always told me you have to go to college. So once I did that, I was like, okay, check. And
Right.
then for master's, it was kind of just felt like I have to too. Maybe it's just the eldest daughter burdening herself with stuff that she doesn't really have to do.
Right.
But I'm glad that I did it, honestly. I feel like that's where I learned the most about influencer marketing, which is what I've been kind of trying to transition to lately. My side gig is managing influencers. So for a while, I had 2 girls on my roster that I was managing. So doing deals for them, all their campaigns.
And it's only beneficial for your day gig too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, for New Belgium, I work with influencers too, sending them on brand trips.
Yeah, we did a couple.
Creating digital content. So I'm glad that I got my master's because I feel like it opens up my eyes to that. But $60K is honestly
Do you
insane.
regret having gotten it, or do you feel like it was beneficial, or you have mixed feelings?
I have mixed feelings, honestly, mostly because about the debt that comes with it,
Yeah.
and I don't feel like it
But
looks.
$60K, if you look at it compared to what a lot of other people pay, it's not terrible.
Yeah,
I mean, $60K in addition to your undergrad, that is a lot. I guess.
yeah, that's and I was out of state technically for Binghamton, even though because I was in
went to
Jersey.
Hunter and I played out of state, but again, because it's a city school, it's still pretty cheap.
Yeah,
And it was also like 2000, 2003, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't regret it. I think it looks great on my resume,
Yeah.
but I just feel like the cost of it is like, damn, like.
How about, let's skip the cost. How about the information you learned, the knowledge? Do you think it was worth it?
Yeah, I think the knowledge was. I took law classes, so like.
Really?
Yeah, learning how to not be liable for like saying things. You have to say allegedly before everything.
Right.
Learning like media skills
do
like
say
that,
that, yeah.
I feel like was important for sure.
Oh, great. So we won't have to cut anything out in this one, right?
Allegedly
Perfect.
to everything.
Allegedly.
And then you're safe.
Exactly. Cool. So what was your first job out of college? Well, actually, when you got your master's degree, you kind of knew what you wanted to do at this point.
Yeah.
Did you have a dream job?
So I have my dream job and then I have dream companies. I have my dream job right now. This is what I want to be doing for sure. Dream companies, definitely.
Are you able to list them?
Yeah, I don't see why not. But I feel like it's also changed in the last few years. Like I always wanted to work at Live Nation or Rock Nation. Now I'm like, I don't really want to do music anymore. Now I look more at tech. So like what tech companies are doing cool events, or Delta. I think Delta's marketing team, so smart. They're on TikTok. They also do cool experiential. Yeah. They just did something at South by Southwest.
And you get some dope benefits working with Delta. Yeah.
Best airline.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, I think I'm doing what I want to be doing. I think doing it at a higher level. I'm all about bigger budgets. So a company with a bigger budget.
So please go somewhere or pull, with New Belgium. Let's get some more going on.
Yeah, no, for sure. We
need you.
Yeah, I love doing experiential. I think this is so cool, being able to throw events.
It's an art, and you're creative when you're doing it. And I recently I was interviewed by Shout Out LA, and they asked me about my art, and my art is creating experiences, right? And being able to have that as my template, and getting feedback from the people experiencing it, or I should say, seeing their enjoyment going through it. Like seeing, there was a moment we were in Cape Town, and we were, I forgot what, on the top of a mountain for sunset. And we started just talking for a second, and we paused. And I was like, this is like one of those moments that you remember on a trip. Like this was so dope. Everybody's watching the sunset, beautiful view. You're in Cape Town for New Year's. It was just like amazing. And I feel like those are the rewarding moments for this kind of business and connecting people. Like we both enjoy doing that.
Yeah, no, definitely. Especially when people say like, this is life changing, or like, thank you so much. And you actually see them enjoying it and embracing and being part of the experience, because sometimes people could be, more to the side and not really a part of it. But when people come together and actually enjoy the event and the message behind it, I think is so important.
Agreed. So what was your first job out of college?
First job out of college, when I graduated from Binghamton, I thought that I wanted to be a headhunter. This is what the term was in 2012,
like
a recruiter.
recruiter.
Yeah.
Okay.
I thought I wanted to be a recruiter, and I was so set on that.
That's interesting. What would?
Okay, I'll tell you why I thought I wanted to do that.
What guy were you dating then?
No, not a guy, but I did see a movie called Friends with Benefits.
Okay.
Where Justin Timberlake and Mila Kunis are like friends or whatever.
Yeah.
And Mila Kunis in the movie is a headhunter. And then I started doing research about them. And I learned that as a headhunter, you could charge commission. You could basically charge companies 30% of the person's salary that you put in, that you recruited for them. So I just thought that was insane. Like if you get someone a $100,000 job, you get a $30K check. If you work for yourself, obviously when you're working for a bigger company, right, you're not seeing
so
that.
So it's monetarily
So I was like, whoa, these people are making money. Like I want to do that. Started doing it for tech companies, but looking at resumes is not fun. It's not creative. Right. So I quickly learned that I didn't want to do that. And to be honest, right after I graduated college that year, in the mail, I probably got like 10 W-2s because I would start jobs, stay there for 2 months, and then quit. Start another job, quit.
Were they all within headhunting, or?
They started all within headhunting. I did, I think, 2 jobs being a recruiter. Then I started waitressing for a few because I told my parents, like, I'm just going to figure it out. I'm just going to be a waitress in New York. Honestly, my parents say that ever since I was a kid, I would always start things.
Yeah. By the way, I say it must have been not because you're serving, but because
because I went to school.
I think everyone should work in the service industry at least once to experience it, so they're not assholes.
Yeah, no, you
food.
Definitely learn a lot.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've always just started things and then dropped them once I realized I didn't like it.
Which isn't necessarily a bad thing.
No, I honestly think that makes me amazing because I know when to leave something. Like I will never stick around anything past the time that I need to. So that's how I was with my jobs. And then finally I got a job as a sales rep at a wine distributor. So that was my first alcohol job. This is like 2013.
Isn't your father in alcohol or in wine?
Yeah,
right?
So my dad's in wine. And I always saw the freedom that he had. So my dad has worked for wine distributor and importers. So importing wine from Spain specifically and then distributing it around the U.S. So he used to be home at 11 a.m. chilling. And then he would like go out in the street and go to events and go to dinners and do all this cool stuff. So I was like, okay, I think I want to do that. So I started doing sales for a wine distributor out of Patterson. So a little family owned wine distributor. Wine was too stuffy for me. Like wine is just too much. So I somehow found a job at Mike's Hard Lemonade on Craigslist. Now this is February 2015. So I found this job at Mike's Hard Lemonade. They were looking for someone bilingual to do sales for them. I applied and they called me that day.
Really?
So right away I was like, okay, I'm getting this. Like they need me. Had the meeting with the sales manager at the time and I got the job. So I was like my first big kind of corporate sales role. So I was at Mike's for 2 years, selling Mike's Hard Lemonade in the Bronx, going from bodega to bodega.
Really?
Yeah, because one weird law about New York is you can't sell beer in liquor stores in New York State.
Yeah.
It's
So
an odd ass law.
it's so weird. I don't understand it, but it's from like Prohibition. Once Prohibition was over, I'm sure
But
someone.
you can buy it in like a 7-Eleven or something like that.
Yeah,
But
I feel like it was a money thing from back in the day.
But Jersey, I think every state has really odd laws. Matter of fact, I think we came back from a Zion trip, and the Utah liquor laws are wild.
Yeah, they can't have like above a certain percentage of beer, alcohol.
Yeah, I mean, not just that. I mean, there's so many like weird.
Well, they got like Blue Law Sunday. You're not allowed to buy liquor on Sundays and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I know that's how it is in PA.
Yeah, it gets even deeper than that. It was so strange. Like you have to serve food in some, but then if you have some other variable, then you maybe don't need to serve food. Like it's really weird.
Yeah.
I don't understand it, but I mean,
Every
Utah is
state.
interesting.
Every state has some type of weird law, so that's the law here for beer. So working at Mike's, I was just going to bodega, supermarkets, a little bit on premise, and then I got recruited to go to Heineken, which I was like, I made it. At that point, I was like, I'm at Heineken.
Yeah.
Again, a sales rep role. So I wasn't as happy because this is when I started to realize like, okay, I really do want to do marketing.
Yeah.
But kind of same role as Mike. So like selling Heineken, Dos Equis, Tecate, those are all their brands, Red Stripe. And I was getting my master's at the same time. So I was working there, getting my master's and just realizing that I wanted to do.
Your master's remotely?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I did their online program at Syracuse.
Okay.
And then I got laid off from Heineken. Wasn't sad about it at all. People were very confused why I wasn't upset, but I just knew that there was something bigger for me. And that's when I got the job at New Belgium, which was specifically for brand activation.
Oh, so, exactly what you wanted.
Exactly what I wanted.
And were you one of the first New York employed people?
So, yeah, New Belgium came to New York in 2016. I started in 2019. So we had already had a pretty big sales team here. There's like about 5 people. And then I came on as marketing and doing events.
Okay.
And then they moved me to Atlanta. So I was in Atlanta.
I remember that.
I was in Atlanta.
How did you feel about that initial request to move you? Did you know Atlanta at all? Were you excited because you're a New Yorker at heart? You know what I mean? The only place I think a New Yorker would be like Miami or LA.
So I didn't know anything about Atlanta, but I was fresh off a breakup, so I was like, oh, and New York was so closed down. I was ready to go.
Oh, it was during the pandemic.
Yeah, so I moved March 2021, and now I'm back already 3 years later.
How long were you there? 2 years?
2.5 years.
Yeah.
And I liked it. I love Atlanta. I think it's an amazing city. I think a lot of culture comes out of there. Great music, great food. But I am a New York City girl. I just feel like all my opportunities are here for me. So. And
it's a bit of a suburb vibe in Atlanta.
Oh, they hate when you say that. I think that Atlanta does give a little bit of city suburb vibes.
Sorry, Atlanta
but that's
folks,
just me.
But like the difference in landscapes is inevitable. It's going to be more of a suburb than New York.
They call Atlanta the city in the forest because it's so green. And
that's not a bad thing. Don't be offended, Atlanta. Like it's just different. And when there's greenery, it tends to be viewed more as a suburb.
Yeah. There is a city suburb.
Okay, so you've been with New Belgium since, but your roles have changed a little bit. I mean, you created your own role, right?
Yeah.
And that was while you were in Atlanta? How did you get inspired to do, I mean, there's obvious reasons, but tell us the process of you getting inspired.
Yeah, obviously 2020 was a big one. I think after George Floyd's murder, kind of really looking into my career and the impact that I wanted to make, I felt like it had to be creating brand awareness for New Belgium with Black and brown audiences, since craft beer can be so niche sometimes. And again, I feel like sometimes people have the idea like white bearded guys in Colorado, when data clearly shows that Latinos love beer, Black people love beer, everyone loves beer. Yeah. So why not create events and marketing initiatives and campaigns that actually talk to a different group of people? And it's
important. I mean, those
POC and they really
a huge consuming market.
Honestly, I got no pushback either. It was like almost an immediate yes, and they gave me also a counterpart in LA. So she was in LA for almost a year and a half. She wanted to go back home to Colorado, which I definitely understand. Going back home is important, but they basically gave me a lead role, and then she was out in LA executing events, to the point that we even got featured at New York Times. So in the New York Times, which I think
remember that.
Yeah, when we were in Puerto Rico, that happened. Yeah. So I think it just goes to show like how important making an impact, and again, those in real life events and experiential moments are for consumers.
Now, how do you foresee your future, or what would you be passionate about doing with New Belgium to further this incentive of diversity and inclusion?
I think continuing these events and creating, opportunities and activations again where we don't necessarily see ourselves. So like I'm starting to look into golfing more. I really want to do a golf event this summer. Surfing is another industry. Oh yeah, I gotta talk to him. Yeah,
I got somebody to introduce you to for that as well. I got a few people for golf.
Yeah, so I think just taking people out and having them have fun with the brands, I feel like is what I want to keep doing.
A friend of mine does golf. Golfs with J.R. Smith, the former Knicks player. They're always together, but he produces golf experiences. So I'm going to connect you with him.
Yeah, please do. I just found out that Alpine Golf in Alpine, New Jersey, that it's black owned. I never knew
Is
that.
it?
Yeah.
Really?
I just learned that. I haven't checked my facts. I'm a Virgo, so I like to check facts.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
But also, allegedly, don't you have to have, like, I think it's like over a six-figure, like not even six, like get $1 million a year just to be a member to this place.
To Alpine?
Yeah, like I used to have a friend, Jeremy Hamilton's brother, used to bartend up there.
Really?
Back in the early 2000s.
Oh wow!
Yeah, like
actually, my grandfather, that was one of his first jobs. Alpine Golf Course.
Really?
Yeah, that was one of his first jobs. He used to cook there. But I thought that you could just pull up and like swing some.
I think you
clubs.
I don't know how it is now. You have to pay to swing clubs there, but if there's a difference between paying for a day pass, and day passes are anywhere from like $100 to $500 depending on where you go, and then being a member. I think there's different perks for being a membership.
I wouldn't be surprised if it's a membership, but I'm gonna.
$1 million in your account is pretty steep to become.
Well, remember, it is Alpines are really
wealthy.
Yeah, one of the wealthiest probably in the country.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay. I mean, I really appreciate the fact that you've created this department and you've seen the value in what we're trying to do, and I hope we can keep on pushing the envelope and doing more with Fat Tire or other brands in the same regard. You told us a lot about your professional life.
Yes.
About your personal life. Let's hear about that. What do you do for fun?
Hang out with my friends a lot. So honestly, we just like to get together, go out to eat, talk, join your trips. Yes. Love to travel.
On a side note, I want to thank you for also helping us. Without you, we would never been able to open up Chicago or LA. And what I mean by that is because Fat Tire played a huge role in sponsoring, essentially providing us with a budget to be able to operate. You connected us with Dre, who was amazing in Chicago. Shout out to Dre. She was pivotal in us starting and us knowing how to operate in the Chicago market. Andy in LA, of course. So without you, we might just be like outsiders in New York.
That makes me happy. I'm glad because the work you do is amazing. Taking people outside of their city to go do an activity, I feel like is so important. Especially if you feel like how do I say this? Like, it's a good thing to do solo. I feel like sometimes a lot of people get caught up in like always wanting to have someone to do something with. I feel like with outsiders is something that you can just pop into by yourself, make friends. I go out with people that I've been on trips with some of the girls. So even me and Mo have had dinner before. So
and to your point about coming solo, like men or women, but mostly women, going out into nature or woods by themselves can be intimidating, could feel unsafe. So having a group to go with, especially if your friends aren't into doing that, is key. Yeah. So yeah, I appreciate you shouting us out for that.
Yeah. So I like to do a lot of solo things, honestly. It's good to do things by yourself.
I agree. I agree, and it makes it easier if you have someone introducing to others or other people that are solo, because they're going there with the same initiative and the same mindset, Yeah. All right. Let's see what else we have over here. What are your personal goals and dreams?
Personal goals? I really want to travel for a long period of time. I know we've been talking about this a little bit, but I would like to do a solid 6-month sabbatical. I'm 33, so I don't want to call it a gap year.
Gap year at 33.
But I would really, really love that, honestly.
Where would you... And if I had to guess, you'd be popping in and out different places.
Yeah, so I want to do at least 3 to 4 weeks in a place because the travel just gets so exhausting sometimes. I really want to be able to experience a place, their culture, for extended.
Where do
I want to do Southeast Asia. I really, really love Thailand.
Yeah, you were there recently for what, like a month?
Yeah, so I did. After we went to Rio, I went to Thailand and the Philippines for a month, and I want to go back. I want to do Bali, Malaysia,
I
just
want to do Vietnam.
Vietnam.
I've never done
Yes,
Thailand or Bali. I want to do both.
Cambodia also.
Okay,
I
that as
just
well. That whole region. I mean, I think there's so much value in us producing destination trips there. I think Vietnam, Thailand would be great. Cambodia, I know two people there. I'm actually, I probably might rely on you to kind of figure out which ones would be the right ones to start with, and then go from there.
Thailand.
Thailand. What was it about Thailand you love so much?
The people, they say thank you and like just show so much respect for everything. They're so nice. I was alone, so I felt safe. I was out walking the streets of Bangkok at 1:30 in the morning. In any other city, honestly, I probably would not do that. But yeah, I feel like the safety and how calm I felt. Remember the day before we left Rio, the day we left, all the anxiety I had.
Yeah.
I feel like I was about to break down crying so many times because it was kind of like that unknown and the uncertainty of what's about to happen in Thailand. Like, I'm going to be by myself. I ended up meeting a group of Dominican girls out there, Dominican women from New York. So I ended up doing the Philippines with them for a week, thanks to my dad. My dad saw that one girl, this one woman was in Thailand with her friends.
That he knew?
So one of his middle school friend's daughter.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, how random. And then he's like, oh my God, Kat, connect. And I hit them up on WhatsApp and they were like, yes, come join us. We spent a week in the Philippines and I actually got to have like at least a little, time bonding with people that I had a connection with. Yeah. And then I met people too when I was in the Philippines and Thailand.
It's funny that you say you want to spend that much time and I would also, I'm born in Paris. I spent a lot of time there, but I've never spent more than 3 weeks, maybe a month there. No, yeah, I've never spent more than a month or 5 weeks. And I would love to spend maybe 6 months to see there. And maybe I'd be there after 2 months, but all right, I want to live somewhere else and check it out. I love having New York as a home base.
Yeah.
But I feel like, am I staying in my comfort zone by not maybe moving somewhere else or at least experiencing a longer term somewhere else? I feel like I got to do that.
Yeah, that's how I'm feeling now. And that's also why I left Atlanta and brought all my stuff here because, I have the house in Jersey.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I'm basically not paying rent. And I feel like if I could just have my little space and then once December comes, leave till April, I feel like that would be ideal for me.
Yeah, I really want to consider, I actually really love Rio a lot. I would consider maybe I'd start with a month there. I never spent more. Well, I did spend 3 weeks there when I went with my ex-girlfriend of mine years ago. She was from there. But I think going for January, February, if I could facilitate that next year, I might do that. Because I can work from there.
Yeah, you can.
I mean, and I have the resources there. So I might consider that. If I get a big enough apartment, I got to have some friends visit. You got to come through. That was fun. I still keep on talking about that trip. All right. Let's see. What advice would you give high school you?
High school me? I would tell high school me not to focus so much on relationships, honestly. High school me was never in relationships, and all of a sudden I got to college in my entire 20s, and I feel like I just put too much emphasis on being in a relationship, and I feel like a lot of young girls get stuck imagining living with this guy and getting married and then having a baby. And you should just really just focus on yourself because playing house is not as much fun as
it's funny because as long as I've known you, you've been single.
Yeah.
We've had a lot of conversation about being single in 30s and 40s, and I didn't realize that that's the experience you had in your 20s. It kinda, I don't want to say makes sense because it just gives me more insight on your perspective now.
Yeah, that's why now I'm just I just want to be free and not deal with nobody and just
but
deal
I know
with myself.
We've had conversations. You can't be fronting. I know you want a partner to have these experiences with.
But I feel like I'm really just in a place where if it doesn't come with peace and just
of course
not insecurity, then we could talk.
I mean, that's where it should be coming from for a healthy space anyway. What's your favorite part of Outsiders?
My favorite part of Outsiders are the people who come. You already know I've hung out with some of the girls outside of the trip. So for me, it's always the people because you never know. You can go to a group trip and it's like a bunch of annoying people who you don't connect with. And one thing I could say, even if it's not everyone on the trips I connect with, it's at least a few. Yeah. So I feel like for me, that's really important.
I think a lot of the groups, the idea of group travel can somewhat feel like you're going to go into a group with some really people who can't make friends. That's not the case with Outsiders. I think maybe from my entertainment nightlife background or our marketing or branding, whatever it is, but we've been fortunate enough to have like cool people that I would actually hang out with show up to these trips. So it makes my job real nice. Obviously, being able to experience this with people whose company I enjoy. So yeah, that's my favorite part of this. And people are like, have you always been a really outdoors focused person? I'm like, nope. I mean, always active, but I was never one to go hiking and so on. Yeah. Now I like it because I've appreciated it. But the people, like essentially the social aspect, the party. It's nature is the new nightclub. That's our new merch. It's because for me, that's where my new social setting is. Like whether it be nature, just the outdoors. Nature in the new nightclub just sounds better as far as the saying goes.
No, I like it.
The outdoors and that's for me. These experiences, this travel is a new nightclub for me because before that was my social environment. And on occasion still is. Rarely. Okay, let's see. If you had your own podcast, what would it be about? And I feel like you're going to have one eventually.
It would definitely be about influencer marketing. I don't know. That's just like my new passion lately, which is weird because it's work for me too. So I always hate saying that like work is my passion, but I'm just really amazed on content creators and like how they're getting money from brands, the work that they're doing.
So much work.
Yeah.
You look at our friend Mike. It's your boy Mike Official. They're always working.
And a lot of them are like,
Romero,
they're
working.
One person, but they're doing everything. They're copywriting, they're editing, they're shooting. So I just really love that world. And I feel like especially for Black and brown creators, they're not necessarily getting the amount of money that some of their white counterparts are. So I would definitely talk a lot about that, like
is
how to pitch brands, how to talk to them.
Yeah, I mean, I've had conversations with certain creators and some of them are making a great amount of money. And some of them I'm like, you guys should be asking for more money from these brands. So I don't know what the back end conversations are really like. Who knows if they're really telling me what they're making. But I think there's always needs to be coaching and guidance, especially for an industry that's so new like this one.
So new, and there's so many different terms that people use, like whitelisting and syndication, and like. And
no one, maybe there is, but I haven't seen anyone taking the mentor road as far as being an influencer for influencers, right?
Yeah.
It's an idea.
I know Brittany Hennessy, she has a book where she helps influencers. I don't know if she considers herself one, but I definitely follow her.
Okay.
But that's it.
We're in the North Face showroom. So North Face is all about exploration, whether it be outdoors or urban exploration. That's what I love about their brand. It's like I saw it in New York City in the 90s. It's continued to see their brand, but it's also a legitimate brand in the outdoors. So the ability to cross both environments is amazing. But with that said, how do you incorporate exploration in your life, and how do you continue to foster your love for the outdoors?
Yeah, for me, I feel like I'm always doing something new. With culture shifters, snowboarding, I've done surf lessons. So I just feel like not being afraid, again, going back to it, to do things by yourself. Sometimes your friends aren't interested in the things you are. So I feel like just being able to take charge in your life in that way, I feel like is important for sure, to make sure you don't stop exploring. And it keeps you young too. It's important to stay young.
Stay moving.
Yeah.
I like that answer. I mean, basically through work, you've gotten, I don't know, were you into being active in outdoors before? Would you take the initiative, I should say, before you started doing this?
Not necessarily. Maybe like go to the gym, but not really outdoors things or sports. I don't think I would have ever seen myself snowboarding, that's for sure.
So this is kind of giving you the inspiration to, this is actually kind of fun.
Yeah, that's what I appreciate about my job. It's my lifestyle basically at this point. It lets
Yeah.
me do a lot that I want to do.
Yeah, I mean, fortunately, we both have jobs that allow for the fun stuff. And obviously, every job has the admin aspect, which is what it is. But like being able to do fun things, travel, meet people like you is great. All right, this is my favorite question. Let's see what you have to answer. What is your most embarrassing moment?
Oh God, a few are coming to mind.
Yeah.
But the one that I can think of is in high school when I was the new girl at Bergenfield High School. So I'm new to Jersey. Some girl was like, "Oh, I bet I could beat you in a race." And I was like, "Oh, really?" This is in gym class. So we're outside. At the time, for some reason, the track at our high school was just gravel and rock. We didn't have an actual track. So I'm like, all right. Let's do this. So we start racing. I'm going as fast as I can. And then all of a sudden, I eat it on the floor. Like my mouth, my lip, I still have a scar on my knee. So I basically busted my ass in front of like the entire 10th grade class, it felt like. Ooh. It probably wasn't, but it was a really big group of people. And everybody was laughing. And I was a new girl. And I was just so embarrassed.
That is embarrassing.
So
and
that's
like a key pivotal moment in your
yes.
in teenage formative years. Damn, so you were the girl that ate shit following.
I had gravel all in my lips. Still have it on my knee.
Damn.
It just like grew. Yeah.
That's embarrassing.
Crazy.
And painful to experience that.
Very.
All right. Is there anything I haven't asked you that you want to share before we continue? Not about the embarrassing moment, just about life in general.
No, nothing that I could think of.
That's a pretty broad question. Okay, so the next segment is a series of 5 rapid fire questions. You know how that works. Are you ready?
Yeah.
All right, what's your favorite city outside of New York City?
Miami.
Miami is?
Yeah, you know that.
Like Miami too. Me and Miami got a relationship.
Wait, I'm thinking just the U.S., so I'm thinking small. Should I be thinking like...
Anywhere, yeah. Is there somewhere you like more than Miami and not necessarily more than New York, but yeah.
Outside of the country, I really loved Rio.
Rio, yeah.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorites.
I love beach, mountain cities.
It's all in one. And it's crazy.
Cape Town too is that, but
I like the culture a little more in Rio. Maybe because I'm also more familiar with it.
We found reggaeton in Rio too, so I was happy.
Didn't we find that at all Cape Town?
No.
Really?
No, I don't think we did.
Okay. Good answer. Those are 2 cities I love. I mean, for me, Miami is a place that's so close to New York, and for me, I just went on a party on the beach. Yeah. All right. If you could do any other profession, what would you do?
Be a chef. I love to cook and eat.
I've never been invited to some. I saw you throwing down in the kitchen. I saw you throwing down. I need to try your food.
I'll invite you over.
Yeah?
Yeah.
And I do love Dominican cuisine. So
okay.
if you can, it doesn't have to be that. I'm just saying, if you do that, I'll be a happy man. What's your vice?
Marijuana.
I didn't have to ask you that. I already knew.
Or reality TV.
Are you cool with talking about weed? Okay.
I love to smoke weed.
We got you weed in every city we've been to.
Yeah.
Cape Town, Rio,
Sardinia.
Puerto Rico, Sardinia. We got you weed in Sardinia?
Yeah.
You might have to bleep that out.
I'll bleep that out.
I knew that's your vice.
Yeah. I don't know. It just makes me so relaxed. I'm already a naturally relaxed person, so maybe I don't need the weed, but yeah, I just like to chill and hang.
Sardinia, you smoke you when you come out like that, just
like and go right into the pool.
Exactly. What's your greatest fear?
I'm really scared of death. I hate thinking about it a lot, but like to have someone close to me pass away, I feel like that's my biggest fear.
But when you say death, what are you more afraid of? Like a freak accident, illness?
Yeah, like a freak accident happening and then just like lights out after that. I don't know. I just get really scared about thinking about that and like my parents passing away.
Yeah, it's a scary thought.
Yeah.
For those who've had parents pass away, man, it's an experience I don't look forward to at all. Like, I don't want to. Who would? But I'm saying like that's a scary thought. Just even the idea.
Yeah, I cry even when people I don't know pass away. Like I just get so emotional by it.
I mean, it's a whole life lost, right? What's your favorite food, and what'd you bring us today?
So one of my favorite foods is chocolate. I love chocolate in
Yeah.
any form.
Dark milk, what?
I actually do love dark chocolate.
Yeah.
So today,
I've seen the menu date.
today I brought us something that I used to get as an after-school snack in elementary school.
Really? I want to see
in
like,
the,
you
in the
told me
little
it was-
delis. Some of
Okay.
the delis have these. Sometimes they come in little wrappers. But a
You got that
chocolate
as an after school
croissant,
snack? Really?
yeah.
I'm moving this over. So
Yeah.
when I was a kid,
Upper West Side.
in it's also what do you call that?
Chocolate croissant, but I know
It's called pain au chocolat, which is
yeah.
basically bread with chocolate, but it's a chocolate croissant. And that's what I would get as a snack when I was in France in the summers as a kid.
It
And
smells
that's like
so good.
that's like the snack for French kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is one of my favorite snacks.
And-
It's chocolate and flaky pastry. Those are like my two favorite things.
Have you ever had a chocolate almond croissant?
No,
Those
but
are
they
the
had some in the
bomb.
bakery. They looked good.
Do you have a preferred place to get those?
Honestly, no. I will get them anywhere if I see
Yeah.
them.
And you consider yourself like a connoisseur. Like for me, having been to Paris so
It
much,
smells so good. Can you please smell it? Smell the chocolate part.
this is frustrating. So
I
I'm on this
know.
like dairy-free, gluten-free, sugar-free diet. It's
I can
great.
eat
I
it,
do
though.
feel great on it. Go for it. And smelling that brings back so many memories of like being able to eat that deliciously bad for me food. It's amazing.
Yeah. the
But I'm a
chocolate's
snob when it
good.
comes to it because I know good French pastries. And like looking at that, you say it's flaky. It's not flaky enough.
Now,
You know, it's not. It's like to me, I look at it. It's like it looks a little too mushy. Like it's hard because you have to mimic the same environmental, like the same water, the same humidity. So I'm a bit of a snob when it comes to that. But
I figured you would.
but
be.
like pizza, you know, even bad chocolate croissants or pain au chocolat are still decent. But
That one's actually good.
that was I'd be the judge of that if I could taste it. But I appreciate you for stopping in. One, I really
Thank you.
appreciate you. Like I said, I've already reiterated this before, but without you, I wouldn't have outside of Chicago the way it is, at least right now. Outside of LA. Thank you for finding us, for being a huge support, and then also becoming a friend and like coming on these trips with us.
They're so much fun.
Yeah,
I'll be on more. I'll be back.
we got a lot more to do. So thank you,
Thank you.
and watch the episode.
This was fun.
Stay tuned for the next one, and peace.